There's 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What happened 11 days ago was pure evil. We know that we have 32 Americans that are included among those dead. We have 11 Americans that are, we're hopeful there's going to be a positive outcome to their missing status. 1,400 Israelis that are dead, thousands injured, 200 hostages. People across the world are praying for a good result. But this committee hearing about protecting our homeland, we do have to talk about the southern border, and thus the reason for this hearing. You had 659 special interest individuals from Iran alone that came across our southern border in the last several years. I want to repeat that. 659 special interest aliens from Iran that have come across that southern border, and that excludes the 1.5 million gotaways. There are 70,000 individuals that are known as special interests that have come across the southern border in 2 years from over 150 different countries. The approach to our southern border, people say, well, why should we be so concerned about that? The assassination plot to kill former President Bush by ISIS operatives, that was found out in the spring of 2022. I want to repeat that just so that people hear that. We had a former president of the United States that was under the threat of being killed, and that absolutely involved the southern border. Mr. Sells, you had some commentary as a former State Department official, Homeland Security official. I found astounding. It was incredible information. In addition to this, specific to Iran, the purpose for this hearing, John Bolton was targeted. Mike Pompeo was targeted. These are former key officials that have been targeted specifically by Iran. These are people to be taken out. We had a author of a book in August of 2022 who was stabbed in New York City. Miss Alanajad, I hope I got your name correct. You personally have been the target of a kidnapping plot, and my understanding is an Iranian American. You had someone when you were a journalist in Iran years ago who was picked up in France, who was kidnapped and later killed in Iran. You had somebody show up at your front door with an AK-47 trying to kill you. There is an adjudication taking place within the United States about 3 individuals who have tried to kill you, tied to Iran. So that transitions me to my question. I sent a letter to President Biden. I'm grateful to a number of colleagues that have signed on to this letter. There's an attempt, there is a call. I'll kind of recite some of this letter. Dear President Biden, we understand there's an encouragement to bring Palestinians to be paroled into the United States following the Hamas attack on innocent Israelis on October 7th. In the past week, we've seen protests, cities, colleges across America. It's deeply concerning that these have put on the display and hatred against the Jewish people. There was a New York City Democrat Socialist of America who stood in the midst of one of these protests saying he might do the same thing because there's nothing left to lose. My letter goes on to call this administration to the fact that they are not granted federal statutory authority to do mass parole like they have done on the southern border, 30,000 a month with those coming out of Gaza. Here's my question. Mr. Al-Najad, because your life has been threatened specifically, can you imagine an administration embracing a concept of those out of Gaza, which we know from the Washington Institute polling says 57% of those inside Gaza right now, 57% inside of Gaza right now support Hamas or have a favorable opinion of Hamas. Can you imagine what would happen? I'm interested if we were to start granting those from Gaza access into the United States.
I mean, in my opinion, that a lot of people in Palestine, in Iran, in the Middle East, they really don't support Hamas and Islamic Republic or terrorist groups, but they are being like hostage in the hand of this terrorist regime. They don't have any other option. But honestly, I have to say that right now, there are many Iranians in America, in Canada, they have a strong link with the Revolutionary Guards. Right after when Qasem Soleimani got killed, many of them appeared on TV and praising the Revolutionary Guards.
Just for the sake of my time, I want to specify my question. I understand kind of where you're going. Let me give you an example of what happened with Afghanistan.
Very quickly.
In Afghanistan, we know that the Investigator General has said to this administration, for those that were allowed through parole to come in the United States, that they lacked extensive background checks. Are you greatly concerned about, because they didn't have they didn't have names or identification specific to these individuals? Are you concerned about those coming from Gaza into the United States without being thoroughly vetted?
No, of course I want to do the background check. This is my concern, and I'm sure that many times that a lot of Iranians they just came without doing background check. Even the members of Revolutionary Guards, they were part of the delegation of Ibrahim Raisi when they came to the United States. So they have been given visa, but many ordinary Iranians, educated people, they've been denied to receive visa, including the family members of those who got killed.
Thank you very much.
Gentleman yields.